So, some final thoughts about this, about what's going on in Afghanistan right now, and if it, depending on how it goes over the next few weeks, maybe I'll do more on this subject. I'm not sure, but as of right now, there are a few unique things that my lovely assistant pointed out that maybe I could talk about that are probably good. One of the interesting ones is I think in the last couple of days I've seen more honest news than I've seen in quite a while, maybe in a couple of years. If you want to know how to find honest news, is if the mainstream media outside of Fox is saying negative shit about Democrats, then it's probably honest news. Because it's so boldly bad that they can't help but acknowledge it. And so I've seen Biden taking quite a bit of abuse from CNN and places like that, which tells you how bad it is because the news media has gone off the deep end in being bad at what they do. They don't give a rat's rear end about news, but they're having to face the reality of what's going on, which is this is an unmitigated disaster and it's Biden's fault. And so it's an interesting moment because if you are a millennial today, you've had very little chance to see what honest news looks like. Watching liberal-based media at the moment, if they're telling you what a disaster it is at the moment, you're getting to see honest news maybe the first time in your lifetime. Because they don't want to say it, which just means that they're telling you the truth. So actually finding honest news about what's going on in Afghanistan right now is actually relatively easy. How do I do this? Well, okay, I'm a conservative, so, and I can tell you, even I've gotten more lazy in the last couple of years because I'm so sick of how it all is. My tendency has always been to read 10 to 20 news sources a day. Okay, that's what I do. And I realize you don't all read as fast as me and those sorts of things. So I'm not trying to set up an unrealistic expectation. But if you want to have a total sense of what the news is, that's what it takes. It takes reading the sources from both sides because there aren't any trustworthy sources in the middle right now. There aren't. I don't care if you go to the core stories, what was supposed to be like the Associated Press. It used to be, here's the facts, you guys write a story from it. No, the AP's as frickin' liberal as anybody else. Nobody sees facts anymore. Okay? So you're going to get a skewed version of the story, and so I tend to watch the skewed version I agree with. I'm not saying that's good, but if you look at the things that I poke out to people, if you receive news from me, very often my news is coming from conservative sources, Fox News or Red State or Breitbart or somebody like that. Why? Because I agree with their takes on stuff. But a lot of the time, some of you who get news from me on a regular basis, and maybe someday if this builds, maybe I'll start poking those out in a place everybody sees them. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. But a piece of it is a lot of times you don't know that I picked the story up from Red State or whatever because I've gone back to the source. So where did Red State get the information? What's the actual study they're talking about? What you get from me is the actual study. What you don't know is I saw somebody's take on the study and went, I'm not sure I buy that. And I want to see if it's actually true. So I jump to the original study itself and read the study. And usually those will speak for themselves. So I'm actually doing the work for you guys who get that from me. And I'm giving you the source thing and letting you figure that out yourself. I realize I'm not doing that all the time, though. And it's a little bit lazy. But a piece of it is there isn't a good news source right now. There's not. The news industry has destroyed themselves. It's horrendous. And somebody at some point is going to figure out it's economically viable to be the middle ground. Be what, honestly, even I hate saying this, at one time I think CNN was kind of that. CNN was everywhere. They built the bureaus every place. So when live news was happening right now on the ground in Afghanistan, who was going to give you the most straight what's going on? It was CNN. That's 25 years ago, but that was CNN. They're not anymore. Now even they'll be there asking the people on the ground why they still love Biden. You know, it's that horrendous. But right now you are seeing some honest news, and a piece of it is because it's happening so fast. they can't run away from it, and it's happening fast, 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 fast. You know, I mean, how do you write a pro-Biden story from a video clip of guys falling off of an airplane where they're trying to ride the outside of an airplane to freedom? You can't. You can't. And so so notice that right now is that there's more pure news at the moment, where it's because what it is it's updates of actually here's what's happening. The size of crowds, the sorts of things, and shutting down flights and flights starting and these sorts of things. There hasn't been any positive way to cover the garbage press conferences of Biden. I was amazed with the first one when he shows back up to tell us everything's okay in Afghanistan, that he turns around and walks out. He won't take any questions, and he turns around and he walks past the American flags, and that the photograph of his back turned to the people as he passes the flags, everyone carried that, because that was more newsworthy than anything he said. That was an amazing thing that I saw it on liberal sources and conservative sources. I saw that every place, because that was the news that was made there. He's turning his back on the American people. That's what he did. And that's why I say, when you're seeing the same thing covered by both sides, when both sides are saying the same thing, it tells you you're getting honest news. Okay? Those are things to see right now. These are the sorts of times where there are some horrendously this is a painful one to watch. For me, it's outlandishly painful, so I'm not watching all of it. But things like, it was interesting, I saw one of the ones, the conservatives, what are the conservative news stories are doing? They're poking hate at the people who are saying stupid shit from the other side. That's what they're doing. That's not actual news, but that's what they're doing. So Tom Cotton, a senator from Nebraska, I think he's a senator, not a representative, anyway, from Nebraska, whatever, he has said, if you're trapped there, if there's something if you need help, here's my phone number, contact our office and we'll try to figure out how to help. And there was a liberal guy who was like, who the hell does Tom Cotton think he is? Why would you be contacting a dude in Nebraska? And even liberals were going, you mean a guy who served in Afghanistan and is a United States senator, and maybe they're calling him because he's the only guy offering, and that should damn tell you something. And the fact that a senator from Nebraska is doing that is not the fucking news story. It's that people are desperate and they need something, and the heroes are the ones who stand up and say, call me and I'll try to figure it out. Not blame somebody else, which is all we're getting from Biden right now, is blame, 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 blame. Shit, that doesn't do anything. He came out today and came back to the White House today to do another press conference, and it was about COVID. Okay, yes, COVID's a big deal, but we're way over a year into that one right now. That is not the story of the moment, nor is it your damn story. You can't fix that one. You can fix the one on the ground in Afghanistan. That's your damn job. So watch that right now. It is worth watching what's going on, but it's tragic for lots of people. I think of guys, so I was more involved with Iraq than Afghanistan, though I did plenty of services for Afghani fatalities and so forth. But one of the things that was happening is a lot of the U.S. troops that would say, who are all these Americans trapped in Afghanistan? Well, our servicemen would go over there and serve, and then there were civilian contractors all over the place doing things, delivering fuel, all these sorts of things that were going on, paving roads and stuff like that. Well, who are all of those guys? Well, very many of them would be truck drivers and Army engineers and those sorts of guys who were there. And then before they would leave, your motor pool's here, you're maintaining your military vehicles, but inside the compounds across the street is a motor pool of a civilian contractor who's doing very similar things with the same equipment and all those sorts of things. And those guys are talking and saying, hey, if you want a job after you get home, let us know and we'll bring you back in to your equipment's just moving across the street. They're buying it off the U.S. government, and so they already have the skills and everything. So these guys are going back, and a lot of them. I know I had friends from Iraq who came home and were getting out of the army, and 2 weeks later they were flying back to Iraq to do the exact same job, only for a lot more money, in the same place. But those guys, I really think so many of those guys are trapped there, and now if that's happening, all these companies are there and all those sorts of things, and they've been believing the line from the U.S. government that said, we've built a powerful Afghanistan force and they're going to be able to hold their ground and all of that, and so they didn't run away when they could have. And so there are Americans that are your neighbors who are trapped there right now with no way to get out and no knowledge whether or not the Taliban is just going to shoot everybody that has their skin color or whatever. So I really feel for all of those guys right now. Obviously, this one that everybody's talking about is what's it to be a woman or a girl in Afghanistan right now, and you were going to school or you had a job or those sorts of things. And history of the Taliban says you're not having any of those anymore, and you cover yourself in your burqa, and the men will get to you and tell you what the rest of your life is going to be. And there's been lots of stories of girls. Every girl in Afghanistan is trying to get married right now. It doesn't matter if you're 12, because it means that the closest thing you're going to have to choice for the rest of your life is choose somebody right now. And so the boy down the hallway or whatever, go marry him because he's not Taliban. And so almost any choice right now is better than that. And so that's happening. And so you can find all the bad you possibly want by looking at what's going on there right now. And so be aware. I wish I could tell you there's a lot to do right now. It's funny because I see all this fundraising and things like that. I'm not sure how any of that helps anybody at the moment. You can't just fly an airplane in there and fly a bunch of people out right now. You can't. The military is the only people who are going to be able to get away with doing that stuff. Throwing your money in together and renting a 747 to go fly people out of there, I don't know how that would work right now, because I don't see how you would get that airplane in and back out of there. Because the Taliban's got to fear enough shooting at the airplane that to allow it to happen. So right now, I don't know that any of those things. I don't know that there's something for you to do other than learn. It's a good time to see what's going on and learn how incompetent we are at thinking we're smarter than everybody else and everything. On the other hand, for everybody who's saying, we told you so, and all that sort of stuff, I say, fuck you too. Sorry, I've been using that tonight, but there was a chance, and it was a chance that was worth it. And I guess I'll close with this. I want to say the number one thing I've seen so far was from President Bush. Thank you for showing us what a president looks like. That his statement, he sent us there. He sent my friends there. I was in his army. And his statement was what we need from a president, of thanking us and telling us and reminding us it was worth it, and reminding us that the girls of Afghanistan have had 20 years of living in the modern world and those sorts of things. So if you're looking for something to see what should government be doing and what should a president look like, go watch or read President Bush's statement, because that's what a president looks like. That's what it should look like and sound like right now. And it's because it's amazingly positive in the light of everything that's going on. That's what a leader looks like. That's the only leader so far in this I've seen so far. Him and maybe Tom Cotton. Those are the only ones. That's pretty sad when that's... And the pilot who took off with 670 some people on board his C-130 or whatever the airplane was the other day. That... a little bit amusing, not amusing, but the air traffic controller asked him how many people were on board his airplane when he took off. And he said, I think it's about 800. They said, did you say 800? I said, yeah, I think it's something like that, or something in that. It's not a quote, but something in that range. And they said, well, good job getting off the ground. That's and oh, by the way, I looked it up. The Israelis took off out of Ethiopia, rescuing people out of Ethiopia with over 1,000 people on a 747. That's the most that's ever taken off. But it turned out to be 600 and some. Even the number can't be decided because I think that airplane had a dead person on board in the wheel wells, so who all counts and how do you count, but but there are heroes in this. There are heroes who are saying what happened was they were putting people on board that airplane. They're supposed to have that airplane's designed for like 280 troops with their gear, so 500 might be a reasonable number of people to put on it, but they lost control and people just jammed into it until every little space in the airplane was jammed, and the pilot said, close the doors and let's go. And I don't care how many it is, we're going to take off with everybody who's here. There's no way I'm trying to get anybody off. Let's just go. And that's what heroes do. He's a hero. He'll probably get his ass kicked by the damn military for breaking some rule and shit like that, and that's okay. And he'll be prepared for it. He'll take that just fine. He'll be fine. But that's the sort of thing. So there are a few out there, but mostly it's negative and crap. But so watch what's going on, but learn for the future, because we have a say in what we choose to do and how we do it. And this won't be the last time we do. We have to make these sorts of decisions. I guess this will be really, I said something else was going to be the last thing, but this is why it matters who we choose as president. Who we elect as president makes a big damn difference. Choosing for this moment in history and for this task, Biden was a crappy choice. Oh, by the way, God, this could just go on and on and on. Go back and look at what Biden said during the fall of Saigon. Oh, yeah, he's that old. And yes, he was involved in that and the decision making. And they brought out on the floor of the House, I think, is where he was. Look at what he said about our responsibility to the Vietnamese people who'd helped us. But it matters. You're seeing the consequences of choosing piss poor leaders for moments in history. That's all I'm going to say.